Are you tired of feeling overlooked and underestimated? Hi, I'm Tammy North, the Introverted Executives Coach. If you're an introverted executive or you're ready to rise to senior leadership, but you're struggling to be seen as a high potential, this podcast is for you. If you're like me, every now and then you come to a fork in the road and you know that it's time to decide if you are going to settle and just accept that this is as good as it gets, or that it's time and you've decided that it's time to level up. You know my perspective on things, and I know you feel it too. You are here for a reason, and in order to fully realize that purpose, you must decide that you are going to live into your full capability and realize all that you are truly capable of. Stepping into who you're meant to be is not usually the easy path. Although now that I'm where I am today, and now that I'm creating an even bigger dream with a massive goal to have a much bigger impact, I need to let you know a secret. It also isn't as hard as you think it is. It's more about adjusting a few priorities here and there, a little at a time. For example, I still look at Facebook for about 30 minutes a day. I watch really good TV shows, and I watch movies with my husband after my work is done. There's plenty of time to create amazing things in the world and also to relax after the hard work is completed. For example, I wrote 4 podcast episodes today before I ever even opened Facebook. So you don't have to stop doing things you enjoy. But you know what? I have a feeling that you will love the way accomplishing your hard goals feel a lot more than you love Facebook. So what does it mean to level up? And what does it actually look like? Okay, so this episode is going to be fun. I'm going to give you 17 different ways to level up your leadership, your career, and ultimately your entire life. It's up to you. Just choose one and start working on it. Number 1, take a Strength Finder test. I have all of my clients take the Clifton Strength Finders test. I'll put the link for it in the show notes. This is an interesting test, and it will give you your 5 strengths, your 5 biggest strengths. And it will actually rank, I think it's 31 strengths, and it will let you also know the things that are technically your 5 biggest weaknesses. Why should you do this? I think that really understanding what your strengths are and then going all in on your strengths is one of the best ways to level up. And similarly, when you know what your weaknesses are, spend less time working on those weaknesses if you can help it. Especially as you get more senior and you have the opportunity to delegate. Delegate things that are not in your strength zone and try to spend most of your time doing things that are very strong for you. For instance, my number 1 and number 2 is I am a constant learner, and number 2, I am visionary. And that is, I have a strong ability to see the future, and I also have a constant desire to learn. It's almost like a hunger. And so those are 2 things, and you can tell by this podcast that those 2 things are things I do almost nonstop. Okay, number 2, make a clear plan, goals for what you want and the next steps, which are the tasks to support your goals for how you're going to get there. So goals and tasks, and the tasks should support your goal. This seems simple, but most people don't do it. So if you want to level up, make a goal and focus on it for the next 3 months. And then actively every single day, make sure that you're taking some baby step toward that goal. Try to do it. Write it down in your planner, and every day go through in the morning, let's say, or the night before, and make a plan tomorrow of 2 to 3 things you're going to do in order to move toward that goal. It'll change your life. Number 3, once and for all, get your task, calendar, and email management under control. Decide you are a person who manages their time. You have all the time you need. Think about that. What if you started with that thought? I have all the time I need. Just think about the way that peace that would bring. When you say, I'm bad at time management, I don't have enough time, I'm a procrastinator, then you set yourself up to fail at that moment. Decide you are a person who manages their time, and then make a plan. There's plenty of information out there in the world, but you don't even have to make this complicated. Choose to make it easy. Set your goal, and every day just do 3 things toward it. That's it. You don't even have to make that complicated. For your calendar, I recommend you have a morning and an evening routine. Your evening routine should prepare you for the next day. Your morning routine should prepare you for getting out the door to wherever you got to go if you have to start work. And then also a work start routine, which sets you up for success during your day at work and helps you plan ahead so that you have very few surprises as your week goes by. Email management, I need to do an entire episode on that because there's a few schools of thought, and I definitely have my own thoughts. So I promise you an email management episode coming up in the future. But decide you're going to get those in control. Number 4, decide you will never be late again. Yes, it's true. Sometimes things are really going to happen. But honestly, do they happen as often as you make them seem they do? So this all goes back to the morning routine I just talked about. But do you ever hear yourself say, oh, I'm always late. I'm always late. Other people say, yep, she's always late. Well, I used to be like that. For probably 20 years of my adult life, maybe 25. But now I arrive when I plan on arriving. And the way that you make that change is by coming up with realistic estimations of how long things take. Most people's problem involves leaving a previous location to get to a new location, and they usually don't estimate the actual amount of time that'll take. Or if it's like getting ready in the morning or getting ready for a party or getting ready for a dinner date or whatever, that people don't estimate how long getting ready takes. So time it. That's something that I did. Time literally how long it takes. Make it into the cleanest process you can make it. So try to do things in the same order. Mess around with that process to see if you can shorten the time. Part of your evening routine the night before, lay your clothes out ahead of time, maybe put your bag in your car ahead of time. There's a lot of things you can do. One thing I discovered is I have little triggers. I get up at 4 a.m., but I don't usually leave to go to work until 6:30 or 7, depending on if my son's school start time adjusts on Mondays, it's different than the rest of the week. So I usually leave by 6:30 to take my son to school. But that 2.5 hours before I take him, I do all kinds of things. I wake up, drink my coffee, read my Bible devotional, exercise. Often I write for this podcast or for my course I'm working on. There's all kinds of things like that where I do kind of my side hustle things in the morning. And then I get ready for work, take a shower, get ready, and make sure everything's taken care of in the house. Then we leave. So that was a lot of stuff I just said. But I have about 6 alarms that go off when it's time for me to transition from one thing to the other. I have one that says wake up. I have one that's like, hey, are you drinking your coffee yet? That's sort of my little buffer. But I usually just pop out of bed when my alarm goes off the first time. But just in case, I have a 15-minute buffer on there. And then I have one that says start your exercise. And I have one that says get in the shower. And I have one that says leave to go to work. So those go off. They all kind of have like little different music that starts. I have fun with them. So they just pop up on my phone though. And I'm like, oh, time for me to get in the shower. And then I stand up and go do that. So you can find ways to trigger yourself to do the actions you want to take. Change your environment to make it as easy as possible to create your desired outcome. Okay, number 5 is extreme execution. What does this mean? This means that there's things for you to do at work. There's things that in order to move your goals at work forward that should be in line with the organization's goals, that you should use extreme execution as you go through that. Try to stay on task, manage your calendar, manage your time, delegate what is not within your strength zone, and then the things that are your responsibility, schedule time on your calendar to literally get them done, literally block out time on your calendar to do that. And then when the time comes to work on that task, knock it out. When you have extreme professionalism at work, this also means leveling up your attitude, reducing the amount of time you criticize or complain, and treating others with respect and positive energy. Number 6, follow up key collaborations with thank you notes and commitments to action. So if you make a really great connection somewhere, or somebody has committed to helping you with a project, then especially if it's the first time you met them, send them over a thank you note. An email will be fine, but certain ones you may want to literally write handwritten notes and mail them. That's a really nice touch. And then whenever you follow up with them, recommit to the action you've already committed to, again, in the email or in the note. It's just a really nice touch, and it strengthens the relationship early on, and it offers a really strong base from which to move forward. Number 7, decide you are a person who cares for your health. Go to the doctor, exercise, eat less sugar, don't even eat processed food, drink water. These are things that you can do to care for your health. But the busier you get and the more senior you get, the more complicated it is to do all of these things. But the exercise, especially, and the water can all be worked into a routine. And then the sugar and processed food, I personally don't eat sugar or flour or processed food, but it's been a process over many years, and I'm getting better at it all the time. Sometimes I choose to slip. I'd like to urge you to stop saying, oh, I slipped and I ate the sugar. See, I do that too. I say, oh, I slipped and had some sugar. Instead say, I decided to eat the sugar. I decided to eat the processed food and I gained back 5 pounds. Remember, every single action you take is in your control. You can decide to do the things that make you healthier, and you can decide to do the things that move you toward poorer health. It's your choice. So as part of your leveling up plan, decide that you're going to care for your health and be a person who cares for how you feel and set yourself up for success. Okay, number 8, yes, your clothes do matter. Even in 2022, even as we're coming out of a global pandemic, your clothes do matter. Now, granted, every organization and industry has a different culture, so you know the clothes that are appropriate where you are. I was in the Navy active duty for 24 years, and our clothes were literally dictated to us in a very strict regulation that told you actually how to wear your uniform. However, even in that case, there were people who looked like they were a mess and like they rolled out of bed like they've been sleeping in their uniform for a week. And there's people who looked like they were on top of it. And so you can literally be wearing the same clothes, and then some people have their stuff together and some people don't. Be the one who does. So now when you're a civilian, and even if you're showing up on Zoom, and even if you're teleworking and most of your meetings are virtual, what does your background look like? Make sure that you're polished. Don't look like you just got out of bed. Don't have, some crazy inappropriate thing behind you. I don't know. Don't have a messy house behind your Zoom. It matters. Appearances do matter. And if you're looking to become more senior, you need to be a person who has it together, and you can decide to be that person. Okay, number 9, stop gossiping. It's over. Stop gossiping. Don't share negative thoughts about other people. You are better than that. That's the past. It's not necessary. It doesn't do any good. And often what I've discovered is that what the people are gossiping about other people is usually what the person who's talking is thinking about themselves. So think about for a little while. If you catch yourself gossiping, ask yourself what there is that you need to improve about your own self first. Okay, number 10, read at least one nonfiction book every month. And as you're reading, write down at least 3 different things from it every single week that you could implement in your life. Just do this in your journal or in your daily planner. Just put 3 different little notes of something you would like to implement in your life, some concept that you read in the book. I do this all the time. I literally read a book almost every week, and I tell you about it in my weekly newsletter that goes out, my Rise and Shine newsletter. I put one book recommendation in there every single week, and I include in it some actions that you can take either from the podcast or the book that week. Okay, number 11, increase your self-awareness and improve upon the attributes that you know are distracting you, and improve upon the attributes that you know are detracting from your leadership potential. This could be some of the other things in this list. It could be the way you dress. It could be that you're always late. It could be that you aren't adding enough value. It could be that you talk too much. It could be that you don't talk enough. It could be any number of things, but there's something that you could improve. And if you did improve it, that it would improve your leadership potential. Now, as I already mentioned in number 1, the Strength Finders test, I really do want you to lean in on your strengths, but you also need to just be aware enough of your weaknesses to know if they're so bad that they are keeping you from rising within your organization. So you don't have to turn your weaknesses into strengths. I don't believe that. But you do have to improve your weaknesses enough that other people aren't distracted by them, if that makes sense. Okay, number 12. Teleworking is an awesome opportunity, and thank goodness for the pandemic that so many organizations that typically didn't allow for teleworking now do. But one thing, if you're really looking to rise, is during your working hours, are you truly adding as much value as you could? Or be honest, is there some part of you that's kind of taking advantage of the situation? I know there's people on both ends of the spectrum. If this is something that you already know you do well, then great. But if you know honestly that you could be improving in this area, then just take this as an opportunity to grow. Okay, number 13, organize your home, your office, and your car. If you really want to be a senior leader and you want to be seen as somebody who has it all together, you need to have things in control. What if you were going to give somebody a ride and it was maybe this CEO and you noticed on the way home he had a flat tire and you decided to pull over to see if you could help him, and then it turned out you needed to give him a ride and he got in your car and there was a bunch of fast food wrappers, for example. No matter how organized you were at your office at that moment, their opinion would change of you. So you never know what's going to happen, but that's not the only reason to do it. If you organize your home, your office, and your car, you are always going to be able to find things. You're going to know where things are. You'll be able to do things faster in the morning. You'll be able to get out of the house easier. It'll keep a lot of other things in control just by having these things in control. One way to do this is to purge things you would not buy again. If you look around your house and think to yourself, if this was in a store right now and I had money in my hand, would I trade money for that thing? If the answer is no, get it out of here. Just purge anything that you would not buy again and anything that doesn't bring you joy. Number 14, work to reduce drama and very negative emotion from the workplace and your life. And I don't mean that you shouldn't have any emotion at all. there's sometimes drama where somebody is just very extreme, and maybe you're sometimes one who's very extreme, where everything's a crisis. It's like Chicken Little, or everything is the end of the world, or somebody said something mean and you're really upset about it. Well, all that is fine, but the degree to which you can start to manage it in a way and increase your emotional intelligence so it doesn't affect you as much will help you become a person who seems like you have it in control. And it's okay. I want you to have emotion. I want you to be happy, and I want you to care about people. If something bad happens, you can all feel sad. You can all feel bummed, but try not to be very dramatic about it, especially if it's something negative or it's like anger inducing, or where it's kind of embarrassing or something. It's okay to have emotion, but just like don't overdo it. I'm sure that you know what I'm talking about, that there's people that you've seen that kind of make everything big, and it's kind of exhausting, and sometimes to listen to those people because everything's a story and everything's an ordeal. The degree to which you can remain calmer and kind of steady, you'll be seen as more steadfast. It'll be easier for people to picture you in a senior leadership position. Okay, number 15, go to bed in time to get 7 hours of sleep. A lot of you stay awake too late. I don't know, because you're binging 1883, which I completely understand, but go to bed on time to get 7 hours of sleep or more. I know the iPhone does this. It'll let you say a time that you want to wake up in the morning, and then the night before, at some point, you'll get a notification that says, hey, you need to go to bed if you want to get 7 or more hours of sleep in. So it'll actually notify you and remind you to go to bed. When that happens, don't ignore it. Get up, do your bedtime routine, and go to bed. You'll feel so much better in the morning. Okay, number 16, if you want to level up your professionalism and level up your life, trust me, wake up 1 hour earlier than you normally do. Just do it. That hour before everybody else is awake is magic. That's a time for dreaming. It's a time to see your future, and it's a time to literally start creating the future you want. This could be a time to exercise. It's a time to meditate. It's a time to visualize. It's a time to do spiritual devotions, all of that. Just take that hour. And if you do some of those baseline things in that hour, the rest of your day will be so much better. Okay, number 17, one of my favorites, because number 17 will help with all the rest. Get both a mentor and a coach. A mentor is somebody who literally has done exactly what you want to do, and they can give you advice and tips and kind of like be a sounding board when you're trying to do something. And get a coach. If you want to be an executive someday, you might want to get an executive coach. If you want to get stronger, you might want to get a strength coach, a physical trainer. A coach and a mentor are two people, different. They are not usually the same people. They probably shouldn't be, but two people that will help you accomplish all the other things that you want to accomplish in your life. Okay, so don't try to fix all 17 of these today. Just start moving forward with where you want to be, and it'll get easier the more you try. I think that one of the most underestimated realities is that when you up-level one area of your life, the benefits from that flow into other areas. And before you know it, several areas of your life will improve just like that. Just pick one of these and focus, and then go all in. When you get that one firing on all cylinders, move to the next one. That's how it works. And a year from now, you'll be so glad you did. You can connect with me at Introverted Executive on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you're ready for executive coaching to help you achieve your biggest career goals, subscribe to my weekly Rise and Shine newsletter. There, you'll find out when my program opens for new clients, and you'll also receive weekly tips and activities to continue to make a bigger impact in your own powerful way. You'll find all the information and links down in the show notes. See you next week.